Oh, welcome to the Self-Care Members Highlight Show. And I am so happy to do this with you today because it's been a challenge to actually get you recorded. Believe it or not, it's been a big challenge. So, how is your weekend? How was your weekend?
My
Tell us.
weekend,
Yes.
my weekend was good. It was productive, and I got to go spend some time with a friend. Um,
Great.
and the
Did you
weather's
stay in Colorado?
yeah,
You did. Okay. So, did you do anything special? It's
mostly just went to go see a movie with a friend, and then just was doing stuff around my house, well, my apartment, and also driving for Lyft and Uber, which it was beautiful out, so that was cool.
awesome. And since it's your second time back for me, and you're doing me this huge favor in appearing the second time, um, can we start with a little bit about your background once more? So, can
Yeah.
you tell me a bit about your background and what led you to pursue your career in coaching and personal development?
So I, 30 years old. My name is Kjell Phillips. I'm originally from the Bay Area, California, and for the majority of my life, I was searching and I felt lost, and I was just working random jobs, feeling unfulfilled. Always was a bit more of um, the black sheep, I would say, not just in my family, but also kind of in society. And I've always been very drawn to the idea that we're all here for a reason, in particular myself, and wanting to understand what that reason was. I always wanted to know how I could best show up and best contribute to the world. So
So,
for years I searched outside of myself, trying to find these answers on how I could be all of myself and make the difference that I was meant to make. And it brought me down a lot of different paths and into a lot of different modalities, and I learned a lot. But it wasn't until the beginning of 2023 where I finally found the program that really had the answers I was looking for, and that's because the program taught me how to find my own answers because they were within me the whole time.
right.
And after taking the program, I was offered an apprenticeship with the co-owners of the company that I work with now, which was originally Imagine Miracles, but now is Purpose Meaning Joy. And the developer of all the programs, Vince Kramer, was my main mentor, and he was the one who truly offered me the apprenticeship. He asked if I would move in with them in Colorado Springs, and I was at the time living in California. And I knew immediately that it was the move to make. I knew in my heart that this was what I'd been waiting for my entire life. So upon being made that offer, I full-heartedly said yes, and within a short amount of time packed up my car and drove to Colorado Springs. And I've been here ever since, and I've taken the first course they have multiple times. I've taught and coached for their first program, and I'm also in the process of beginning to work towards coaching for the year-long program that we have. But we're in a very big transition right now, so things are going to look a lot different. But I honestly never the irony was I never expected to necessarily be a coach, but it's
Mhm.
not surprising that someone who was constantly trying to uncover the intricacies and the mysteries of not only the universe but himself would help others in doing that for themselves too.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, that's so awesome. You fell into the journey,
yes.
but it was just appropriate for you to go that way.
Mhm.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And my next question is, you mentioned that you always felt a deep calling and sense there was more to life. Can you share a pivotal moment in your early life that ignited this sense of purpose in you?
Well, I would say the earliest memory I have, I think, of this calling or awareness of something more was when I was very little, actually. This was one of my first conscious memories. I'm not sure how old I was. I think I was about 3 years old. I was upstairs in my my mom and dad's bedroom, and they had a full, like a closet with sliding doors, and there was mirrors, like full length mirrors on both sides. And I was looking into the mirror. I was looking at myself, and I remember for the first time, and just for that time, like looking at myself and just having these epiphanies and these questions, like, who am I? Why am I in this body? Why can I even ask this question? like why am I someone at all? Why am I in this body? Why am I in this family? Why am I here? And I knew from that moment that just the question itself meant a lot to me. And like to have that question at that age was not typical, in my opinion. And ever since then, I think I more or less like started to lean towards the idea that like there was something always urging me towards knowing who I was, as well as just how things really work in life.
That's absolutely a very young age. I think I was in my early teens when I started thinking about that specific question. So you were very aware since you were that young. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you. I think everyone is on the same journey, but they arrive at that question different stages of their lives. And so some people find the answer immediately, and some people keep searching. And and if they find the answer, that's ultimately, something marvelous. But if they just continuously search, there's no meaning. It becomes meaningless. And so that I just imagine you at that age. I can only imagine you at that age. And here you are living the life that you actually started by asking yourself that question. You just weren't aware at the time. So you're on that journey that you're meant for. That's great. I have another question. This is based on your self discovery and mentorship. So, what were some of the key challenges you faced while searching for your true purpose as a young adult?
I think the main challenge was my anxiety and depression. That was pretty significant. And because I wasn't quite at the stage of my awareness or journey to realize more empowering ways to deal with my anxiety and depression, I usually just would numb and escape, which didn't really help my awareness of myself, as well as like what I really had and the opportunities in front of me. And a lot of the times I also was following the rules of other people as well as society, and learning to trust myself in the midst of all these mental and emotional struggles was always difficult, because I had so much going on internally that I didn't know how to deal with. So a lot of the times I just didn't deal with it and I avoided it. But underneath all that turmoil was this knowing and this calling that we spoke of. And luckily it was loud enough and it was strong enough that throughout the waves and like the highs and the lows, I always kind of more or less would get back on track and would always regain hope, regain faith, and I always level up in certain ways. But it took a long time to really establish myself in the way that I have now, and I never anticipated it for it to play out the way that it did. but even upon being made this offer and given this opportunity. The biggest struggle I've still had is dealing with that anxiety and mastering my mind and just choosing thoughts and feelings that empower me rather than resorting back to what's familiar and comfortable, which is ironically not that comfortable. Which so.
I think your experience or your feeling. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not trying to analyze you in any way, but another human being to you, to another human being, I think your feelings are natural and absolutely normal because we've all been down the road and feel that way or felt that way. And sometimes we are willing to deal with the situation, sometimes we aren't. And it's all a matter of timing. So knowing that and knowing that you continuously work on yourself and you're on this continuous journey, which we all are, you forgive yourself. You forgive yourself and you continue. Staying focused. Bob Proctor, I know you're familiar with him, but he would say, light a candle and look at it, focus on it, and practice your concentration, your focus. Tune in, and that's what we all have to do at times when we feel a little bit off. Or odd. And I would highly recommend that exercise. But thank you. That's amazing that you're still on that journey and you're learning so much. Okay, my next question is, meeting Vince and Mary Kramer seems to have been a turning point for you. How did their mentorship impact your journey? And what was the most important lesson they taught you?
The most important lesson that they taught me would be to always trust in my own connection to my answers and my guidance. And that not only do I have guidance, but we're all being guided and we all have the answers that we're looking for. We just need to know how to look for them and how to trust them, which is a process. It's one thing to get our answers. It's another thing to trust them. And I think being taught that my knowing and my calling and my intuition was right all along, and that not only was it quote unquote right, but it was truly what provided me the opportunity to work with them and to be a leader in this work and to help other people uncover their unique purpose and their reason for being here. So to finally be seen in the way that I always dreamed of being seen, and to be given an opportunity that I always felt I deserved, but not in the traditional sense. I've always, underneath all the doubt, really believed in myself and known I'm meant for more. Right. But because of my beliefs around traditional avenues towards success and like what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, a lot of the times I would sell myself short. But I knew, despite all that doubt and all those limiting beliefs, that I had a lot to offer. And it wasn't until I met Vince and Mary Kramer that someone who actually did follow the traditional paths of success saw me for who I was and was like, you have a lot to offer. So
you were very fortunate.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had, and especially this opportunity to work with Vince and Mary. That the moment I got the offer, I knew my life would change forever, and I was not wrong.
And it did. So you follow your instinct. Always. That's the most important thing. Okay, on to our next question. After Vince's passing, you committed to carrying on his legacy. What does that legacy mean to you, and how do you honor it in your work today?
So the legacy truly is that every single one of us are here for a reason. And it's a lot different than what we've been taught to believe. It's not about the jobs we're doing, and it's not just the question, why am I here? It's who am I? Why am I here? And what do I have to offer? And we have the answers to these three questions. We as a soul created a blueprint for ourselves before we even decided to become this physical body. we knew, like, I wanted to be Kjell. This is the difference I wanted to make. This is the energy I wanted to be. And these were the gifts that I wanted to share. And I knew as an energy that by doing that, not only would I be fulfilled and happy, but I would help to raise and expand the consciousness and the vibration of the world as well as the universe. Because that's what we're all here for, is we're all here to be in service and to help expand awareness and the consciousness of the collective as well as the universe. And the best way to do this is by being ourselves. I know it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. And it's this lifelong existential thing that for thousands of years we've asked ourselves this question, and there's no coincidence there. And that's another thing too, is that there are no mistakes or coincidences.
Sure.
And I think just the main legacy is we're all genuine, energetic masterpieces, and we're just waiting to understand who we truly are and to really share this and shine our light with the world. And once we do, not only will all our lives be better, but the whole world will be better.
I love it. Thank you. Such enlightenment. Wonderful. Thank you. So my next questions are going to be based on coaching and personal development. So here goes. You specialize in guiding individuals who feel lost or disconnected from their purpose. What's your approach to helping clients reconnect with their higher selves?
So in our first program, we have a lot of different exercises that help people get in touch with all different parts of them. So there's 3 parts of us, which is like the trinity of you, and there's the big you, which is the totality of the universe, the big YOU, which is your soul, and then there's the little you, which is your ego, which the ego gets a bad rap, but it's a very important aspect. So I think a big part of the process of connecting people with their higher self is first getting to know that they're multidimensional. They have different aspects of themselves, and they're all equally important. They need to be familiar with the fact that they even have a higher self or a soul or a heart, whatever you want to call it. Follow your heart, it's all the same. It's just whatever floats your boat. Which words do you prefer? And I think as a society, we've been trained not to trust our intuition or our heart, or even consider the notion that we have a higher self that's constantly trying to give us messages and promptings. So reinstilling that faith and that trust and that surrender in that there is way more to life than what meets the eye, and there's way more to us than what meets the eye, and then providing the space for people to feel comfortable, and then providing the exercises for them to actually start to work and connect with themselves, and giving them support along the way, pointing out different things that they're receiving and how they are connecting, like acknowledging them for the process, because we know when we're connected, but it's an easy thing to doubt, and there's ways that you can prove your connection. So
Agreed. Wow. Powerful. Very powerful. Okay, on to the next question. You mentioned using creative expression in new paradigm concepts in your coaching. Could you elaborate on what those concepts are and how they facilitate transformation for your clients?
Okay, so this is a lot of fun. So we are moving from quote unquote old paradigm to new paradigm. We're moving from I consciousness, which is all about separation and victimhood, into we consciousness, which is all about unity and being there for each other. Absolutely. And the basis of this shift in paradigm is understanding, this is one of the main things we teach, is that we create our reality. So as individuals, there's literally 8.1 billion realities all existing at the same time. And there is no objective reality, but there are laws of the universe that we all operate within. Once we understand that we create our reality, we can take a lot more responsibility for our lives and how we're showing up. So that's a huge shift right there, is that we're not victims, and that everything we're experiencing is a creation, a co-creation. And there's always a gift in whatever we're experiencing too. And then I'd say that the next biggest one in terms of new paradigms is that there are no mistakes or coincidences. I mentioned this before, but just understanding, because we create a reality, whether it's conscious or unconscious, everything is happening for a reason.
Right.
And we can decide to choose. We can choose to see the reasons that empower us. And there's always something being mirrored to us or shown to us to help us grow into all that we're meant to be, to be all that we're meant to be. So especially when we're triggered, we're being shown something within ourselves.
True.
Anything that we experience is always a reflection of something within us, ourselves. So it's never outside of us. It's always inside of us.
Right. Yeah. And it's how we respond to it that ultimately prove the way or clear the way for us. Thank you. That's a lot. I'm gonna have to re-listen or replay this over and over to really soak in all the information that you're giving me. And moving on, how do you integrate your own experiences and lessons learned on your path into your coaching practice?
I think the most important is by practicing what I preach. So I make a point to pay attention to messages and promptings, which is one of the main things we teach as well, is that we have to be on the lookout for signs and synchronicities and things that are around us that are showing us our path and giving us direction. So that's something I'm constantly paying attention to and connecting to my higher self for guidance and using that as a good groundwork for how I approach not just my normal day-to-day, but also my spiritual practice and my own self-development. So the more I connect with myself and understand myself, the better I can show up in general and for my clients. And I have a lot of things that I deal with, but when I'm willing to be honest and vulnerable with the struggles that I have while still being willing to do the work, it makes it easier for people to feel more safe and comfortable in doing the work as well, because they know that everyone goes through it. So
awesome. Wow. Thank you. And my last three questions will be based on community engagement and personal insights. So you also connect with people while driving for Lyft and or Uber. What's a memorable experience where you were able to inspire or uplift someone during a ride?
I would say one of my favorites. This is kind of fun. Well, so I have two. One of them was actually when I was a customer for. So I was on the other end. I was getting a ride when I was in Dallas for a business conference, and while I was driving, the driver asked me what I was there for and what I did, and I explained to him what I was doing, and he said, "Do me." Like he was like basically like, coach me, and I said, "Really? Do you really want?" And he said, "Yeah." Like he wasn't having the greatest day, and I asked him some questions, so I got some feedback on what he was going through. And then I started to share my awareness of new paradigm concepts in relation to what he was going through. And in a short Uber ride, by the end of it, he literally like completely shifted his vibration. His vibration went up. We connected, which was beautiful. And my whole so the why that I'm here, the reason why I'm here is to change perception. That's the difference that I want to make. And by the end of that ride, I can promise you I changed his perception. And I did tell him, I told him too, I said, "So would you say that your perception of things has changed from this ride?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, that's perfect, because that's exactly why I'm here." So it was a lot of fun. It was a perfect example of how I'm so passionate about, what Vince was so passionate about, is when you are living your purpose, when you're doing what you're meant to do, things feel great for everyone around. And that was just proof of the pudding.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right. Moving on. At age 30, you have already accomplished a great deal. What's next for you, and how do you envision your work evolving in the future?
So Mary and I are in the middle of a transition, and we're starting things back up more or less in January. We're on kind of a little bit of a break, but things are still in the works. But I think the main thing that's going to shift in regards to this work does have a lot to do with the community, but it also has a lot to do with heart. Not just heart as in like our higher selves, but which is very important aspect of our heart. But I think what I've learned is that we as humans, the reason we're all here is to awaken our hearts, to be more in our heart space. And this work is very much based in our hearts, but it's also a lot of it comes down to mastering your mind. And I think helping to bridge that gap between head and heart in a way that's more empowering, because we are shifting out of the old paradigm where the ego was bad and like you had to get rid of the ego. And I think there's still remnants of that distaste for our heads. So my passion is learning to integrate heart with mind in a way that's not so like shame on the head. It's stay in your heart, only in your heart. It's like, no, you need both. We need all parts. We are 3D humans and we live in the 3D world. And one of the biggest parts of the 3D world is being able to use our conscious mind to operate and understanding how we can use all parts of ourselves in order to do that is a really exciting thing. And I also think a lot of it has to do with just awakening the feminine within all of us, because heart is a feminine energy. And me as a younger male wanting to encourage that, not just in the collective, but especially for men as well, is pretty exciting. So.
Wow, great discoveries. Thank you. And next question is, what advice would you give to those currently feeling disconnected from their purpose in searching for direction, much like you once were?
I think the best piece of advice I can give anybody who feels lost is so this is funny because it's I actually like even I wrote a poem about this, but it's called Lost and Found. More or less, what you're looking for is within you. And I promise you, if you can take a step back for even just a moment and truly get present with yourself and whatever that looks like for you, and really just drop into who you are in this moment. And I know you're like, well, I don't know who I am. That's why I have this question. That's why I feel lost. But drop into your presence and just really feel into yourself and trust and know that you are here for a reason and you have all the answers and that you're exactly where you're meant to be. That's a very empowering, and it can help release you from this idea that you're not on the right path, or maybe you're doing something wrong, or I need to find myself because if I don't, whatever. It's like even that doubt that you're feeling in this moment is exactly what you need to experience in order to grow fully into all that you're meant to be. So it's all part of the process.
Wow. I don't know what to say after this. I'm not feeling any doubt, but sometimes I do. And wow, I'm powerful answers. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out and sharing your perspective. I am sure that the self-care community will also do the same. Very powerful. One last question for you, and this is my question. I think many people, there are many mentors that I sat into in their webinars ask this question, and I think this is just appropriate right now to end with. So it is, what do you want most in life? What do you shall want most in life?
What do I want? I want to live my legacy by truly stepping into all that I am, not shying away from the public, not shying away from making a significant difference in the way that I've always dreamt of making, and changing the world by simply being myself.
It's awesome. Wow. Oh my gosh. Really powerful. Thank you.
This was a lot of fun.
You made such an impression on me. Wow. I want to be your client. Oh, yeah. I need to learn more about the practice that you and Mary are the programs. I would love to learn a little bit more about the programs that you and Mary are putting together. So when
Yes.
it is at that point and you can share, please don't forget to share with us.
Oh, I won't. And if you don't mind, can I share my mentor's book?
Of course.
Okay, so a really good, just a beautiful story of this work and this, what I'm experiencing and what my mentors experience and what we're all really experiencing, but we're not quite aware of all the time. The magic of ourselves in the universe is perfectly demonstrated in my mentor Vince's book that Mary was a part of, but it's mostly his line of work. Is Awakening Through Moments of Choice, and it's available on Amazon, an audio, as well as you can buy the hard copy. But I can be completely vulnerable in the sense that I was not. I was a very intelligent student, but I was not a good student, and I did not like to read. And when I picked up this book, I couldn't put it down. Like, it was a very fast and powerful read, and I think anybody who's interested in learning more about the universe and themselves and just wanting to be more of who they are, I think would love this book because it's just a really good example.
I will definitely check it out on Amazon.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share. And then purposemeaningjoy.com, that's our website. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, my profile is Pukashell, but it's spelled Kjell.
I will definitely connect with you and I will check out the books on Amazon. Thank you so much for showing up again after all those technical difficulties.
Oh, no
I really
worries.
appreciate you, and I'm going to listen to this again because you really gave some golden nuggets, very powerful information, and so I will rewatch our program. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I am excited to see the growth. Yeah.
Me too.
I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, and let's stop recording.